out to Nollie Heelflip. Easy. So this is a trick I do a lot, and I genuinely believe anyone can do this. Like, genuinely. Because I learned this trick before I could even nollie. Like, I couldn't nollie. My nollies looked like this when I started doing this trick. So, let me show you the secrets. Because there are some tips and things that are not super apparent, but when you get them, they make a lot more sense, and it'll make it easier for you to get them as well, especially if you're doing it on a bank. First things first. Imagine you can't even nollie. You want this. You want your nollie to kind of be like that. You know, you've got that nollie where you're like launching your body forwards because you can't quite control it yet. It feels weird. This. That's kind of what you want. Now basically, your only goal should be do this, but then like kick the board. So stick your feet, come off the board entirely and kind of reach back. Just kick that board. You do that like a billion times until you can do that, right? Once you build up that idea of where to kick and when to kick, you don't have to think. Nollie heel is one of those tricks where it's not like a kickflip where you kind of have to bend your legs and stuff. You just kind of have to boot the concave. So this is kind of another point, is that you don't really have to flick, finesse or anything. You can just kind of kick that way, and as long as your heel hits the concave, it'll flip. See, that's what you want. So when you're first doing it, you want to donkey kick it. So just kick straight forward and kind of lift your toe. If you lift your toe, it forces your heel to do this. So you get that, right? Just do that. Okay. Now, one thing that's not super apparent is it's a very wide stance trick. I find that if you try and do it like this, where your feet are kind of behind the bolts here, it's kind of too close. I mean, it can happen, but you're more likely to rocket it, send it too far up, or for it to just go above your feet. We're trying to station it one way. See that? It's not under me. But what I find is, if I put my feet like pretty much just on the bolts and have my toe over that wheel, you kind of want to put your weight over that toe on that wheel. When you pop it, I was like shooting out there. If you're struggling to stay over it, it's probably because you're flicking too low down and it's kind of sending you flying. If you keep it nice and wide, you'll find, if I can get it to stay still, you'll find that it stays under you. As uncomfortable as this feels, it stays more under you. So instead of like doing this and trying to like figure out where it's going, you can almost preload your landing position by just having a wider stance. I find that helps immensely, having a stance that's just wider like that. It just helps you stay over it. Don't have your foot, that's even just behind the bolts. Have it so that you're basically covering the wheel. Like you want your toe hanging over the wheel. And then you kind of stand over the wheel and you're like using your trucks. You can hear mine. That's how I would do it. That's how I do it. It's easier moving, so. And wide stance, this is how I would do it. Genuinely, like, look how wide that is. Kick that way. Kick that way. So when you slow-mo these things, it'll look like this. But what it feels like is that. That's what it feels like. Another heel flip. It's really not so hard. I think the worst thing is it's scary, but like, what tricks aren't? But here are some advantages. Nollie Heelflip flips this way, so if you catch it like this, you're more likely to just land it, whereas a nollie flip goes like this, and then you just eat it. So if you can nollie flip and you're scared of what's going to happen if you land primo nollie heel, what are you doing? Just land on it. Another thing you can do is try and land it upside down, which I'm not sure if I could like. You can't even do it like steak. Great, you can just try and like do that. I'll give you an idea of what it's like. And then, as I say, move, it makes it easier.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I can't wait for that comment that says, why are you teaching this if that just happened? terrible, whatever. So yeah, I just kind of waffled. I didn't really have much of a script in mind. Just wanted to talk about how I think about it and what makes it work for me. I might have missed something, but I'm sure that'll become apparent to me 6 months down the line when I inevitably make a new video. But whatever. Oh yeah, and on banks, right? On banks, the wide stance thing is the most important thing, because if you try and do it with a small stance, your board is already kind of rocketing in the air because you're on a bank. So your board wants to go straight up. So when you use a really wide stance, your other foot kind of blocks the board. So the more steep the bank is, you kind of want a wider stance because you're compensating for the rocket. So if you try and do it, like, you need to put your feet like on the bolts, like kick over the wheel. It seems weird. There's not a lot of tricks like that. And it's strange how I've been trying to get my regular heel flips back, and I've noticed that I put my foot like in the middle of the board. Like that would not work with my regular heel flips. But I don't know if that's just how much I've dialed my nollie heels over the years or what. But yeah, very important. If you're doing it on a bank, trying to go fakie, wide stance, lean back, your weight on the flicking leg. Yeah, that's important. If you got your weight on your popping leg, it'll never work. And you kind of want to lean back with your shoulders a little bit, just a little bit. You don't really need to see what's going on. If your board is going behind you, wider stance usually helps. And if that doesn't help, or you can't flick it, you just need more practice. So yeah, thanks for watching Go Go Skateboarding, and I'll see you in the next one. So common mistake number one is you kind of go towards your toes too much. You do need to remember to jump towards your heels a bit. If you could do a nollie back shove it, which is where it goes behind you, do that first to get the feeling for like the kind of way you want to be jumping. So I sort of land this one, but then like you can see how twisted I am. It hasn't clicked in my brain yet that, hold on a second, I'm actually leaning on my toes too much. So first make for the video on the bank, look, I'm kind of twisted weird, and I do get mad because I came off, I wanted to roll away. But like, you don't really want to be landing facing weirdly twisted, but you'll probably do that the first few times that you do it. It's weird trying to figure out where your stance needs to be to get everything to work properly. So yeah, basically once you start doing that, it just becomes trying to get it straighter and figuring out how square is square enough. It's weird, you feel square and then you try your trick and you realize you're still turning slightly. See, that was a good one, but I did it better. This is the most common problem you'll find, is you do a nollie heel flip and your foot will just do that. You just have to keep trying. Genuinely here, my stance was probably just not wide enough and the board was allowed to rise too high based on my jump. So like, wider stance, keep it under you. And this one I get really good. You know, I finally got it straight. So usually your nollie heel flip ends up being, I'm trying to get this thing straight. So I just slow-moed that nollie heel flip and you can see that my weight is leaning back. But then when I land it, I actually kind of land on the front truck. So that means my weight was still leaning too far up the bank. So to get it properly, you get that, and that's good, but you can get it better by like trying to land on the back truck first. And what that'll do is it'll bone your nollie heel flip. But you have to be feeling really good for that to actually work. Like, it makes sense, but then when you're trying to physically do it, aiming where you should be jumping, sometimes it makes sense, other times it doesn't. So yeah, just keep that in mind. That's kind of like progression. That's kind of like the ultimate leveler for it, really, is like landing on the back truck first. If you can do that, then your nollie heel flips will be awesome. Oh yeah, just to add, obviously on a bank, it's better to land on the front trucks because that's where your weight's going. If you land heavy on your back trucks, I'm sure you'll probably just fall backwards. But on flat, it'll just make your nollie heel sick. So yeah, so I slow-mo with this so you can see how cool I am, but also how I really like front truck, back truck. Kind of important on a bank. If you don't do that, you'll probably just fall off your board and not know why. And here it is one last time, because why not? I'm waiting for the comment for that guy who's like, why did you say the same thing 8 million times? I want you to remember the wide stance is important. So you can get upset, comment guy. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.